which when I was young and came to this district, was filled with 7 different people that bean counted and did a lot of paper. And then they slowly disappeared until the last few years I was here. There were 2 bean counters left in this office and some over here. And now they're all over there. And you're going to see the addition and some of the old stuff. And just plow your way through.
Yeah, I've never actually.
We're still installing active panels, so that's what this stuff is. Come on in.
Get into it.
This is about half, a little more than half of the new addition you see off the end of the building. And at Will Rogers, all the people were split across 2 rooms, or during COVID, 3 rooms. And the big request from Lori Patterson was that she wanted all the techs in one room where she could manage them directly. And so this is where Lori sits. And then we have a technician there, which is Steve Perkins, who's part-time and keeps saying he's quitting, but he's not. He's only 70-something. Yeah. He was back today. And then we have Kevin Kerouac here, and then a station there, a station there, a station there, there, and there. And so that's all of our technicians who are here and work, and they are constantly traveling in and out. And you know it's a technician because they always have the lights off in their part of the room. But Lori, I tell her I want this part lighted because that's just me. But this is where they do all their stuff. And so if I pop in here, I can tell by head tops who I'm looking at and who's here and who's not. And back here is the area that is kind of our receiving and work area. So come on in. Yeah. So this is the other part of the new addition. We always had a garage at the ESC. You may or may not have known we always had a garage. But there was always a garage door in the other part. And it was very small, and it was basically, I think it was just used for mail. That's all I remember being used for, and shredding. Well, it's important to people that still use paper because they're old-fashioned. But here we have, yeah, like they want permanent records of some sort instead of digital ones. So that's the new loading dock, and that actually is a loading dock under like the old garage. So now it's actually at semi-trailer height, and so a semi can actually pull up here, which we do have them pull up. People don't realize that. And we have a loading dock that lifts up and down, and we can load them off in here. So the technicians are much happier than when they were at Will Rogers having a semi come into Will Rogers and then offloading pallets one at a time, which is really what they wind up having to do into those little old elementary school classrooms. So this is a much better environment for them. And I had Zach and Ashley in here this last week. They were prepping Chromebooks. And so like Ashley was prepping 5 different cards for elementaries, and Zach was prepping a lot of Chromebooks. So this is a work area. Now we're going into what was the accounting area. So this is their work area where they can put computers up while they're working on them on those workbenches there, and there's a bunch of monitors because they can hook them up and repair them. This is also where we stock our supplies. So you see a lot of desktops there. Those are all our spare desktops for, like, you know, we need desktops for this or that or the other. Like mine died the other day, and they pulled one out of there and gave me another one.
This is the old wall then?
Yeah, this is the exterior wall of the ESC right there.
The old one.
And so you can tell this is still the old accounting suite, because one thing we couldn't move was the vault. The vault is still here, and it's a lovely room if you ever want to go in there. It's very cold in the winter because there's no
hot in the summer too.
And that's basically the repository of all the board minutes that are bound in big old books all the way back to 1890 something. And then the immense amount of filing cabinets with personnel records. And so if you ever want to know how does Granger know weird trivia, that's
in there.
the answer. Like when Mr. Bilger says, "Would you tell me all the bond issues we ever had?" It's like, sure. And I go into the vault and I go through all these old paper files and generate that information. That's where the knowledge is. And then this was the garage, this little garage I mentioned. It's now the server room. And has anyone ever been in the old server room at Will Rogers? Okay, describe that to them.
Chaos.
Yeah. Very loud. Yes. Yeah. If you've ever been in one, it's an elevated floor, and then it had all these machines and racks, and this incredible noise from 2 giant air conditioning units to keep it all cool so it'd run. This is a brand new server system. We went and visited DSR, which is in the old Walmart, because I said, I want to see what you're buying with all this money. And they showed me that, and I went, oh my gosh, that's a lot better. So you're going to see this is a very different kind of server room, and it fits into that little tiny part of the old garage here. Come on in. Yeah. So instead of air conditioning the entire room like you had to do in the old days, we only air condition the rack. This has its own air conditioner rather than the whole room, and it has its own fire suppression and everything else. And basically, that's mostly the servers and some of the rack switches and backup power supplies. But what was an entire roaring room is now this cabinet. And part of that's just modernization, and a lot of it also is the movement to the cloud. So we no longer are having to do so much on our own machines, it's out on the internet. And so the big thing that happened last weekend was kind of on this back panel. It doesn't look impressive at all, but it was basically behind the scenes all these fiber optics connections switching from one side of town to the other and then making sure they all actually worked. There were 4 reluctant sites, but we defeated them by 9 o'clock. So I was not involved. I just got texted. Like, Hoover's up. I'm like, yeah, baby, come on. So that's how that went. Make sense, everybody?
So you're just pulling the individual server.
Yeah. So this is just maybe locked. Oh, it's not. So this is just here. And if you walk around the back, Rick, you can walk around the back. You'll feel the heat coming off the back of it. And that's all you're cooling is just that unit. Oh, yeah.